There was a previous video a while back where I talked about FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And specifically, I was talking about things that are timed and also just in general, like how there's all these video game stores with timed items, how there's DLC that can go away. I mean, even something like Batman Arkham Origins. Now, on many platforms, it's pretty hard to actually get the Cold Heart DLC, just as an example. And that's something that was created in an era where there wasn't much FOMO, and it was just a single-player DLC story pack. But in the years since then, things have gotten a lot worse. It's gotten to the point where it feels like so many games, especially if they have even the most minor of online components, will have some kind of missable event, some kind of item that if you don't buy right now, you won't be able to get ever because of some dumb license. I mean, even in the case of superhero games, there are entire games that you legally cannot purchase anymore because of licensing issues, especially things like Spider-Man. Even those things I would say fall under FOMO, where you're not sure if you're going to be able to even buy something later on. I mean, we're in the era of mass production and the digital age when scarcity shouldn't even exist anymore, especially with these digital items, and it's forced upon us. So it's something I want to talk about for a couple minutes today because it's just really grinding my gears. I know that talking about it won't change it. I'm not delusional to that extent that I think it will, but it is something I just want to kind of get people to think about and talk about maybe in the comments. I do have a question of the day for you though, which is there something you missed out on in a game or you feel you missed out on? I know this stuff is not mandatory, but maybe it bothered you, that you are annoyed about. For me, with a lot of MMOs I liked, especially RuneScape growing up, there have been items I missed because I was busy, because I had a job or a life or friends or things going on, or even because I was into other games, and it just really bums me out. I mean, even a more recent one, which I know was a cash grab, and I know I probably shouldn't have paid for anyway, but I would have used my earned Xbox gift cards with Game Pass, was the Black Ops 6 TMNT. I would have loved to have gotten one of the turtles just because I love those characters so much. Even though I know that that game series has gone drastically downhill. But, you know, over the years, there have been so many things from Fortnite events that I didn't have much time to partake in, to things in in-game stores that went away, to even DLCs that I'm not able to buy anymore. Like, for example, Spider-Man. There are tons of suits for the disc-based Spider-Man Xbox 360 games I have that are not sold anymore. And they're not sold anymore because Activision, that published those games, they don't have a license to be selling those games anymore. There are entire games you can't buy even. Like, for example, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. Those actually came back for a little bit on the PlayStation Store. I don't remember if they did on Xbox, but on the PlayStation Store they did. And then they're gone again. You can't even legally buy them. And this is also unfortunately why piracy is honestly something that in many cases is the only way to preserve content. And that sucks. I don't want that to be the case, by the way. Like, I personally think that if you are Nintendo and you make Pokemon Emerald, you should have the business sense to want to sell me that for $20 digitally or $30 digitally, 20 years later, not make it so that the only people who can make any money are people on eBay selling a cartridge for $200. A lot of these businesses would either rather not sell a game later on because they don't want to have to compete with themselves. Like, for example, they don't want to compete with their own quality. Like Nintendo, for example, they don't want new Pokemon games to have to measure up to the old. If you buy an old Pokemon game, if you're able to get them super easily, you'd see how much content was packed into them, how much heart and soul was packed into them, and how rushed a lot of them are now. So they don't want to make that easy for you. I understand that the reasons for FOMO existing, they work for companies. That's why it's not going anywhere. Like not wanting to compete with your own past works. That's not going to go anywhere because they know that it would make them look bad now. Same with Call of Duty. There's a reason why they don't re-release all their old games in HD, super high, glorious, definition with all these online multiplayers, which is something that I really do appreciate about Halo. Is even though it's pretty universally agreed the series has gone on a decline, they actually do let you buy those old games and play them through, like, the Master Chief Collection. They're okay with you knowing that the series changed directions, even if you hate it. But a lot of these series aren't okay with that. And that's a problem with these single player games, but there's also a problem with licensing. You know, the fact that a lot of characters are really expensive for licensing. Spider-Man, for example. Nobody is going to come in if they made a Spider-Man game 20 years ago and pay to relicense the game to sell it now on a digital storefront. It's just not going to happen. And so with that, you have all of that stuff that comes off as timed events, right? Like, even with single player games, there are timed events. Like, it feels like the purchasing of them is a timed event, actually, because you don't know what's going to happen later on. But you also have all these games that are constantly cycling through timed events within the game itself as part of its structure. And I understand why they do that. Like, for example, Fortnite. I enjoy Fortnite. I always shill my Fortnite code because it's one of the few ways my channel makes money these days, and I appreciate the people who use it. I enjoy Fortnite. I think it's fun. I recently got Batman Beyond in Fortnite. I had a blast. He's not even in the store anymore right now, or at least he wasn't when I checked the other day. You had a limited time window to buy him because they wanted to make it a FOMO event. But not just that, there's also all of these seasonal time challenges that are always like, oh, you didn't play this season, you didn't get that character. If you were just playing one game, that might be okay for you. You know, if you were only a fan of Fortnite, or you're only a fan of Fallout 76, or you're only a fan of GTA Online, or whatever, some game with online components, or Call of Duty, that might be okay for you. If you like more than one of these things, I have no idea how you're going to partake in them. And this is why a lot of people have given up online gaming. I mean, it's more popular than it ever has been. Those people are just a drop in the bucket that two corporations don't matter. And that's the sad thing. Like, if you're in the comments and you're like, this is why I don't play multiplayer games, they don't care. Because for every one of you who doesn't, there's a million people who will. That's the sucky thing. It's like, this is why it doesn't change, is because, and I say this as somebody who does enjoy some online games, people don't get frustrated with it. People don't move away from games from it. People just say, well, I guess I missed out, and then they just don't care. Or they get annoyed at it, and then they want to specifically focus on that game, which leads to increased revenue for that company. You know, if you're mad that you missed out on Fortnite skins, you're going to be more likely to pay more attention to Fortnite, buy more things in Fortnite, spend more time on the game. And for me, I think all of these games should be enjoyed in moderation. Whether it's a game like Fortnite that I have a creator code through, you know, and actually like, and they've been nice to me, or it's a game like World of Warcraft, which I've only played a tiny bit of, or it's a game like RuneScape, or it's a game like Call of Duty, anything. You should be able to have time to play a game and play a single player game that has no expiration date, like Shadow of Mordor. And then you should be able to go on Fortnite and earn some stuff. And you shouldn't feel like, oh man, I should have spent that time on that game or I'll miss this thing. You should be able to go on a game like, I recently was playing the original Mega Man from the NES era, just for fun. You should be able to go on a game like that and not think, oh, there's 12 events going on in games I enjoy. Like, for me, for example, just games that I casually play, like throughout the year, there are games like GTA Online, Fallout 76, RuneScape. There are games like, of course, as well, I'm missing one. Assassin's Creed has started moving towards this a little bit with having like timed festivals and things like that where it's actually hard to keep up. Sometimes I'll hop on Call of Duty on Game Pass so I don't have to pay for the game, but I can still play around on it. You know, Halo Infinite has these things. Pretty much every shooter has these things. Fighting games have these things now. Mortal Kombat 1 was really pushing towards timed things, timed shops, timed events. It hits a point where it feels like even the most down on their luck, unemployed, hasn't seen the sunlight in ages individual, if they were into more than one or two of these games, they're not going to be able to get this stuff. And if you ever get into a game late, you just miss things. I would even argue that pre-order bonuses are sometimes treated as timed events and have been for many years. There are pre-order bonuses in games where they'll sell it to you later. There are other ones where they won't sell it to you ever again. It'll just be, oh, you missed the pre-order bonus? Sucks to suck, you should have bought that. I know everything is on a time limit in life. Like, our life is a time limit. You know, you get so many days. Your days are numbered. But you shouldn't really feel like, oh, I didn't play this game day one, therefore I missed thing X. You know, even an example like that for me, it's not a big deal because it's just a recolor. But like the Venom, Blue Venom, my cat is going crazy in the background. Blue Venom in Marvel Rivals is an example of this, where it's like you could only get it through this beta testing event. I didn't even know the game was existing at this point, because even as someone who covers this stuff, I don't just like sit with my eyes glued to video game news. I have a friend or two, you know? I mean, I have a couple. I have a job. Now I have a couple of them. I have a family. You know, I have all these different things going on. And I'm sure my life isn't nearly as busy as some people who enjoy video games. I can't pay attention to all this stuff, so I just don't ever get that. I just find that really lame. You know, I think this is a really annoying way to do gaming. There are actually a lot of games that I have just stopped playing because I feel like, well, I missed too much. Or games that I just never pick up. Like, there have been games I've genuinely looked at that people tell me are good that I'm like, well, this game came out 5 years ago. I didn't play it. They're done releasing content. Some of it's been delisted. I guess it's not for me. You know, sometimes the fear of missing out crap, it really does push me away from games, makes me do less on them, or makes me narrow in on just a couple games and ignore the rest of them if there's any online components. And unfortunately, I know that's what they want. The reason that they do these FOMO things is because if you have 15 games that do them, and you can't pay attention to all of them, even if you enjoyed all of them in some way, then you're going to only pay attention to 2 of them, you know? And you're going to be most likely to spend your money there. It's unfortunate because it works. It's unfortunate because it ruins a lot of games, and it makes a lot of things not as fun as they could be. I wish that what they could do is just that you could maybe earn the thing easier during the time event, then you could go back later, or maybe you could purchase an event pass on one of these games and go back later. But even things like Marvel Rivals, they've moved towards having some events just be timed, and if you didn't get it, you didn't get it. Like, there was a recent Iron Spider skin. I got it, but I know a lot of people missed out on it because there was no premium pass. People get busy, people have things going on, maybe they don't play for a season, they come back, and they just completely miss something. I think that's unfortunate. I'm really just kind of getting tired of it. It makes me want to play video games less, I guess, because, you know, I'm sure there'll still be timed events I cover. Like, I have a timed event for a RPG thing I'm going to cover on my JayRPG channel in the next couple of days. So that's something right there where it's like, it's not that I'll never partake in these things, but they've pushed me away from so many games and just kind of exhausted me to the point where it makes gaming feel like a chore. Like, I got to log on, do my chores on game X to unlock thing, then move on to game Y to do the same. I don't really like that. It's just getting kind of tedious. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed today's video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, I appreciate you so much. If you want to support our channel, we have new members videos up. We also have as well new stuff on Patreon. And of course, we do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, along with all of our channels in the description. But CosmoBunny.shop is a store where you can get one-of-a-kind handmade resin items, coasters, keychains, trays, and more, all made from recycled paper from comics, manga, magazines, all kinds of books. What we do is we take these books that can't be sold anymore, turn them transformatively into something new, and recycle the rest and turn it into something, you know, that either can be used or we make sure it doesn't end up in landfills. Discount code DJAY123, 10% off your first purchase. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.